Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really getting into a story that honestly feels like something out of a movie.
It really does.
The just spectacular downfall of former U.S. Representative George Santos.
Yeah.
And our main guide here is a report from District Drama. It's called From Capitol Hill to Cell Block B, The Theatrical Downfall of George Santos.
Quite the title.
Isn't it? And it pulls info from, CNN, New York Times, Politico, all the big names.
So solid sources behind it.
Exactly. Our mission really is to unpack the key events, the audacity, I guess, of this journey from Congress to, well, prison.
It's a wild ride. The
Yeah.
article lays it out as this almost unbelievable story of deception.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How does something like this even happen at that level?
Yeah, questions about the system for sure.
Okay, so let's maybe start near the end. The sentencing. That kind of sets the stage for how serious this all was.
Right. April 25th, 2025, Central Islip, New York.
And the sentence.
87 months. So that's what, over 7 years in prison?
Yeah, a pretty significant chunk of time. And the charges were wire fraud and aggravated identity theft.
All tied back to his 2022 campaign, apparently.
Now, the article mentions the judge's comments. Judge Joanna Sabert.
Yes, she was pretty direct. Talked about his callous disregard for New Yorkers.
And made a point that these weren't victimless crimes.
Absolutely. Which counters maybe some narratives you might hear.
And the money involved.
Wow.
Almost $580,000.
Yeah, combined. Restitution was about $374,000 and forfeiture around $205,000. Serious cash.
Which, leads you to wonder what exactly he was doing to rack up those kinds of penalties.
Well, the prosecution, Assistant U.S. Attorney Ryan Harris, put it bluntly,
What did he say?
that Santos rose to one of the highest offices in the land on a wave of lies. Stark.
That really frames it, but the defense had a different take, right?
They did. They asked for just 2 years. Tried to paint him as, like, a troubled person escaping a difficult past by creating this alter ego.
An interesting strategy.
But clearly the judge didn't quite see it that way, given the 87 months.
No kidding. And he has a surrender date.
July 25th, 2025. So that's when the prison chapter actually begins.
Okay, so that's the consequence. Let's rewind. How did he even get there? The lies.
Yeah.
The sheer scale is just...
It's staggering, isn't it? The article goes through education, for instance.
Right. Claimed he went to Horace Mann, the prep school.
Debunked. Claimed a degree from Brooke College in 2010.
Also debunked.
Then work history. Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, big names, no records, apparently, just made up.
It's not just puffing up a resume, is it? It's creating a whole false reality.
Exactly. And his company, DeVolder, said it was worth millions.
Let me guess.
No traceable clients, no real operations found. It just seems like it didn't really exist in the way he claimed.
Okay, so the professional life was built on sand. What about the personal history? That gets even stranger.
Oh, definitely. Some really sensitive things, too, like claiming his mother died because of 9/11.
Which wasn't true.
Reportedly not, no. And claiming his grandparents survived the Holocaust.
Also false, according to the reporting.
Yeah. And then the claim about 4 employees dying in the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Another fabrication. It's honestly hard to keep track.
It is. And then there's that awful story about the pet charity, Friends of Pets United.
The GoFundMe for the veteran's dog.
That's the one. Allegedly took $3,000 meant for the sick dog. That one. That feels particularly cruel.
If true, yeah, that's really low. It paints a picture of someone willing to exploit almost anything.
It seems that way. And even his religious identity was confusing, claiming to be Jewish.
Right, while also apparently making anti-Semitic jokes. Despite having Catholic roots, it's puzzling.
Very. It raises so many questions about, why? What was the goal of all these contradictory stories?
And the whole time, this is a guy representing parts of Long Island and Queens in the U.S. Congress.
Elected in 2022, he was actually the first openly LGBTQ plus Republican elected to the House.
Which is, historically significant in itself.
But that history was quickly overshadowed. The lies surfaced and, well...
Question. December 2023.
Which, as the article points out, is incredibly rare. First time someone was kicked out without a conviction or joining the Confederacy since the Civil War.
That really tells you how serious Congress viewed his conduct. Bipartisan agreement, essentially.
Yeah, the Ethics Committee report must have been damning.
Okay, so the lies were foundational. How did that connect to the money, the campaign finance stuff?
Yes. This is where it gets into the specifics of the fraud, seemingly. The spending was something else.
Like what?
Well, the report lists things like over $4,000 at Hermes,
Hermes, the luxury brand, with campaign funds.
apparently. Also, a subscription to OnlyFans.
You're kidding?
Nope. Charges at Sephora, personal trips, Atlantic City, the Hamptons.
Wow.
Even a honeymoon in Las Vegas reportedly paid for with campaign money.
It sounds like he treated the campaign account like a personal slush fund.
That's certainly how it looks based on the reporting. Oh, and thousands on Botox treatments, too.
Botox. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the sheer range of personal expenses is wild.
It really suggests either zero understanding of the rules or, perhaps more likely, just a total disregard for them.
But it went beyond just, like, dodgy spending, didn't it? There were more explicitly illegal things alleged.
Absolutely. Unauthorized charges on donor credit cards. That's straight-up theft.
And using stolen identities. Family members, reportedly.
Yes, that ties into the aggravated identity theft charge. Plus, filing false financial disclosures to Congress and the public.
So not just bad judgment, actual criminal acts.
Which, of course, is what led to the federal charges and the conviction we started with. It all connects.
Right. It's almost hard to fathom that after all of this came out, he still tried to, like, stay in the public eye.
Well, yeah. The post-political ventures are a whole other chapter. He launched a podcast, didn't he?
He did.
Pants on Fire with George Santos, launched in December 2024.
The irony is not subtle.
Not at all. And the stated reason was to earn money for those massive fines and restitution payments.
I mean, in this media age, leveraging notoriety, even negative notoriety, isn't unheard of, I suppose. True. But how did it go? Did it actually make money?
The article suggests not really.
Okay.
By January 2025, his YouTube episodes apparently had fewer than 1,000 views each.
Ouch. Not exactly a cash cow, then.
Doesn't seem like it. Yet, he actually asked the judge to delay his sentencing because of it.
Get out. Seriously.
Yeah, requested a delay from February to April 25th, claiming the podcast was a promising revenue stream.
That takes some serious nerve.
It really does. And surprisingly, the judge granted one delay.
Huh.
Though the article notes the prosecutors were pretty skeptical given the low viewership.
I bet they were. It just adds another layer of, well, theatricality, like the article's title says.
It fits the pattern, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the article even leans into that with some satirical ideas about his potential prison life.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Sort of dark humor, but concepts like Survivor, Cell Block B, a prison fashion show,
Okay.
fantasies of a presidential pardon, becoming an inmate influencer. It's poking fun, but it also highlights how performative his whole public persona seemed.
Yeah, it kind of underscores the absurdity of it all. So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway from the district drama piece?
They frame it pretty clearly as a cautionary tale wrapped in a comedy of errors.
A comedy of errors with very serious consequences, though.
Exactly. The core message seems to be about unchecked deception and the fact that eventually reality catches up.
Even the most audacious liars face their reckoning, I think was the quote.
That sums it up well. It shows that while the deception was vast, the legal system, in this case, did ultimately hold him accountable.
So just to recap for everyone listening, we've covered the 87-month sentence for George Santos.
The incredible web of lies about his past education, work, family, charity,
The misuse of campaign funds for everything from luxury goods to Botox.
and his somewhat bold attempts to reinvent himself post-expulsion with things like the podcast.
It really is a deep dive into the consequences of dishonesty in public life.
Absolutely. The whole saga serves as this really potent example of what happens when someone tries to build a career on fabrication.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? About public trust, about the political landscape.
And maybe about ambition itself, you know?
Yeah.
What drives someone to create such an elaborate, false identity, even knowing it probably can't last?
Yeah. What's the allure there, even when the downfall seems almost inevitable? Lots to ponder.
Sure.
Well, thanks for walking us through this incredible story.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on the deep dive.